Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Everton 3, Burnley 0 in the Carabao Cup. I'm joined by Jack. I am joined by Mike to talk about what was a pretty relaxed evening, apart from if you were trying to get in, which wasn't very good. But there you go. Jack, you were there last night.
Yeah, it was good to be there to witness just a relaxed, capable, confident performance for once. You know, we spoke about this on the live before, and, you know, while it was a good performance and probably one of our better of the season, it didn't feel particularly groundbreaking. It didn't feel like this was out of character for this Everton team. You know, we went in there expecting to win quite comfortably, and we did. And it's good that we're slowly getting back to that we are having these performances where you can go, Everton should win this.
Yeah.
And then they actually win. Yeah. And I think, you know, we need a bit more of that, and we're slowly starting to get that a bit, aren't we?
Yeah, it did feel like a very run-of-the-mill 3-0 win last night, mate. But it has felt... Those kind of games have been missing for a long time, haven't they? You're confident before you go in. You know you're the better team. You know it's all about the performance. You're just hoping there's no stupid slip-ups or cock-ups or Michael Keane. And we got the job done in a pretty routine fashion.
Yeah.
For a Wednesday night in November.
It started with the lineup, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think the lineup come through, and it was good to see us take the competition seriously. It's something I've bemoaned for years because, you know, certainly under the Moyes time, when we were sort of constantly sort of safe within the league, you were never fighting relegation, or predominantly not. So it was a competition that you just felt like, just take it seriously.
Why not go for it?
It always, I've never been able to understand it. And for a competition we've never won in our history, I find it like mad. So like, I really thought it was refreshing to see a good, strong starting lineup.
No, it wasn't. I think we heard early on, and when Marco Silva was the manager, the term acceptable loss was coined, and the Carabao Cup or whatever form it's in, certainly in the last since Moyes went, but like you did mention Moyes, it's been almost like where we experiment, or because we've always had this thing. I think in the last sort of maybe in the last couple of years, but certainly in the Moyes era, you had Europe. Not all the time, but you had Europe and you had new signings, and then you had the Carabao Cup, and it always felt like you had to play your new... We'd bring people in the summer and they wouldn't get an opportunity straight away, and this was always the best place to bed them in. And almost that thing as well, if you've got a couple of decent young players and you feel like you need to bed them in, because that's what everybody else does. But what you're forgetting is the level of their players is so much better, or they've gelled more because they've played in the early rounds of their European competition or whatever it is, and it's always seemed to have fallen through the cracks, and certainly because we'd get knocked out maybe in our first round or our second round. But he seems to be taking it seriously, and listen, when we played Doncaster, we did make changes. We were expected to win that game, but I think the penny may have dropped at half time when we were absolutely terrible in the first half. We've gone to Villa and we've put a decent team out, even though the formation was slightly different. And it got to the point last night where you're looking at a home tie, chance to get into the quarterfinals, with a few decent teams still left in it, and obviously we've got Fulham. And yeah, you're absolutely right that we need that confidence, don't we? We need those home victories, and the side he put out last night. Really, when you look at it, Ashley Young comes back, and you can argue that he's a first-team player. He's not coming back into the side as a squad player. He's coming back in as a first-team player. I do think the Corey needed resting, and he played Dan Juma, which it didn't really work. But Jack, just on the changes, obviously going strong at this stage is an important thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like Mike said, there's no reason not to give this competition a go. You know, we're not out of the woods in terms of safety in the league, but there's other more obvious candidates for that, isn't there? And at the moment, we're in a good place. So we should absolutely be going for this, especially for the cup. Like you say, we haven't won in our history. I actually thought he was going to go a little bit weaker than he did. I thought he'd go strong, but I was expecting Beto to start. I thought the core would probably miss out, but then I thought maybe Quay comes into the team and he changes the makeup of the midfield. Dan Juma seemed to say it as well, but I thought maybe one of the wings had come out. McNeil had looked a bit tired at the weekend in the game before. I thought he struggled getting into the game, and Harrison's not long back from injury, so I thought Danjuma probably comes in out wide. But yeah, he played behind Calvert-Lewin, didn't he? Didn't have his best game. I think Decore's role's just so hard to replicate for anyone who's not Decore, because it's just so specific to what Decore's good at, which what he's good at, he's very good at, but he's not a well-rounded player. So it was difficult for Danjuma to replicate that, but he'll have other chances in his preferred position.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think, Mike, at this stage of the season, as we're starting to find what our best 11 is, and obviously that has changed with Onana sort of changing his position to a proper number 6 now, and we're seeing the best of him. James Garner finally getting that role in centre midfield. Mikalenko looking quite strong. Jack Harrison on the right, Dominic Calvert-Lewin back up front. Do you think it's important to keep that continuity, because we don't play 3 games a week? We play normally weekend to weekend. Obviously, December's going to be hectic, but I think it's really important to just keep this continuity now and to find that level that we're at. And obviously, we saw that on Sunday by keeping as many of those players on the pitch for as long as we could.
Yeah, I think, if you put out a weak side and we bow out to that competition in a disappointing home defeat, it then just ramps up the pressure to the weekend, doesn't it? So there was not a lot to gain in putting out a weak side in some degree. And I like what he'd done. Obviously, we got comfortable, then make the changes, take a few off, bring a few players on. Obviously, he's given the opportunity to give Danjuma some game time, and realistically, I know it's not his preferred position, but he's got to be grasping that, hasn't he? A lot more than what he done last night for me. That's the type of game you would like to see. Okay, he wouldn't be playing in that role the exact same way Decore would, but I'd like to see him getting on the ball and sort of sitting in that 10 pocket of space and showing for it. But he just seemed, I don't know, a little bit lost in there.
Yeah, I'm glad he played in there. I'm glad he got a go with it. Like, it must, again, me and Jack were talking earlier on the live show we did on it's obviously Premier, and Decore's role is so specific. We saw that when he went out the side last year when he got suspended. It's very difficult to replicate. He's a midfielder and he's a second striker because he can get around the pitch. I know a lot of people point out his faults, but it's the things he can do right, the way he gets around the pitch, the way, I know, he's not always great on the ball, but he's got physicality. He's decent in our box most of the time, and he has a threat as well. That's hard to replicate. Danjuma's certainly not like for like, because I don't think he's got those defensive responsibilities, and that's why he's not getting in the side on the left hand side. But I do think with December coming up and the prospect of losing Decore in January, I mean, that's not absolutely nailed on that he will go the African nations or how long he's there or how many games he'd miss. But you have to, I suppose, look at though that in isolation and go, well, actually every single other position in our pitch was sorted. We've played Mikalenko and Ashley Young. We've played Ashley Young and Patterson, and we've got Coleman to come back. That's, what everyone can do there. Centre back, we want this to continue, but we know we've got Premier League experience on the bench. We've got.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. I don't want to think about it. We've got centre midfielders where they've all played, so we all know what we're going to get from them. Harrison's consistent. McNeil. We've got Dom now. We know what Beto is and what he can be. But that role in isolation is a role that is like, no one's been tested in there. No one knows what. I think he'd more likely change the shape of the team than have that role. So I do think it was good to see Danjuma, and I understand why it didn't work for him last night. But I do also think it's good that he's had 60 minutes to go, right, what do I have to do? And then you can then analyse that then with all the videos and stuff. Rather than this idea of he didn't play, and then everyone goes, he doesn't like Danjuma. There's a problem there. So I think him having an hour and us winning 3-0, both positives for me. I mean, obviously winning 3-0 is always positive. But I think the Danjuma situation, Jack, that's a positive that he played, even though he wasn't great.
Yeah, and I think Danjuma will probably come in the team for Decore again at some point in the near future, whether it be AFCON, like you say, or fixture pile up, or, you know, even an injury to Decore. But it's about maybe we find a different variation on that role that Danjuma can play. Maybe it's a case of he operates a bit more on the left, and it's McNeil who comes in and fills that space in the middle when we need the body in there. I don't think you can replicate that exact role with Danjuma because, you know, Decore, at times he's a second striker, at times he's a bit more of a 6 as well. Yeah. Danjuma's not that type of player. Not many players in the world do that. He's a very unique lad, Decore. But it's just about finding a variation, a different spin on it, isn't it? That, okay, you can still get the effectiveness of it, someone making those runs from deep and getting on the ball, but okay, how do you also fix the other side of it, the more defensive side? And I think that maybe could be McNeil, especially for his hard work that replaces that side that we get from Decore.
Gives you options, doesn't it? I think, you know, it looked to me, obviously Garner and Onana didn't necessarily break as much as they have done in the last few games, albeit Onana obviously come up with a goal, but which is the variation in that formation, isn't it? Because, you know, they can break and Decore will sit if needs be. But don't, like you say, look, Danjuma needs game time. He needs to get integrated into the squad. He's got assets to add to the team, and certainly coming on off the bench and stuff like that in Premier League games. So all round, it was good to see him get the minutes. Again, like I said, I would like to see a little bit more out of him, and hopefully that will come over the coming weeks, and as he gets used to what the managers want as well.
Yeah, and you've got to push players, haven't you, and say this is what Sean Dyche is under. You know, he doesn't have to pick players. He's got them. It's up to them, isn't it? If Danjuma fancies staying at Everton longer than this season, it's up to him to prove it to us. We haven't got loads of money. You know, it's a good move for us and it's a good move for him, but he's got to prove it at the end of the day. There's none of these players have got a right to play. None of them should be. You know, can Danjuma bang on the door of the manager's office and say, I deserve to start? No, he doesn't. He's got to prove it in games like that. And the manager's give him a little taste of that. You know, and that's, to me, it's maybe now in another game, maybe on Saturday, if Decore after 70 minutes looks like he needs a rest, can Danjuma come on and do that job? Will he have learned enough from last night to come and do that job? I don't know, because I don't think he particularly did that much. I think he had like 17 touches in the entire game. And it was slightly different because it was a little bit like Villa. When we played Villa, obviously we almost had like a square midfield, didn't we? You know, the two behind, the two in front with the wing backs. Last night was again those two sitting in with him ahead, knowing he ain't coming back to help, so we've got to sit. And it worked. It works. It's more of a natural two. Maybe that's, you know, again, I don't know if I think those two shoot it more than Disagani, because he gets attracted to the ball. He wants to go and win the ball because that's his role. But we'll see what happens. But he's got to prove. If he wants to play in the Premier League, he's got to prove to us that he can get in the side. Where else is he going to go? You know, that's it. If you're not getting into the Everton side, which is not an incredible Everton side, then you're going to struggle. But, you know, listen, the game, it started quite slowly. They love having the ball. Their goalie was interesting. Some of the passes he was making would give me a heart attack.
Yeah. You know what though? I think there's a lot of appreciation for that keeper from the Burnley fan base. It seems like from their fans, sat by their fans, so he had a lot of them, and there was a lot of chance for him. And I've seen a lot on Twitter as well saying they want him in the Premier League over the new lad they've got, Trafford, the young lads. But he's erratic, I think you can say, can't you?
He played passes, I'd say, that other people didn't see. No, it's like they were just like, and don't get me wrong, Pickford was the same last night. He was playing passes that our players weren't thinking of, and sometimes that makes him look stupid, but do you know what I mean? It's like he's playing them.
It's on a higher wavelength.
Maybe. Nobody's playing like sweeping passes over there, and like people are just not onto it. And I think their goalie last night was like almost trying to get them going so quick that players were like, can't steady that. But listen, it was a quiet sort of feel yourself into it game. But we've took the lead. You know, we've recycled the ball, got it in, and Dwight McNeil's put a good cross, which he should do because no one's even trying to stop him.
He's standing it up, isn't he?
And James Tarkowski stayed up and has found the corner. And from their point of view, it looked like a training session where you're actively encouraging people to do that. From our point of view, it's a good goal. Obviously, the Burnley connection shut their fans up. I mean, I don't understand why their fans were booing McNeil. When we were told they said he was rubbish and they had better players and they had made money on him and all this. But I don't know, you just do that sometimes. It's pantomime, but he shut them up with that. And we took the lead, Jack, and we never really looked back after that. And it was nice to see. First of all, it was nice to see someone like James Tarkowski score in open play like that.
Yeah, definitely. He doesn't often get the opportunity to do it, does he? And I think it'd be a very frustrating goal to concede if you're a Burnley fan, especially given the context of you playing against the Sean Dyche team, your old manager, and that's probably not the type of thing that happens very often under him. You know, it starts from a set piece, we keep the ball. Dwight McNeil's put under no pressures, he puts a decent ball into the box. And I know they've got their own way of doing things now, and, you know, they'd like to have hold of the ball, and that's all good, but there's no reason to compromise on your basics, on your fundamentals, like that passage of play was. I don't think we conceded that goal. I think it was a lack of organisation. It was a lack of being switched on from the Burnley fullback.
No intensity to either get out to the cross or attack the ball coming in. Because there was a moment as well when it comes back out to get recycled, Tarkowski's, you see that moment where he nearly goes to run back, but then realises no Burnley players push forward, and then thinks, well, actually, I'll enter the box. And then obviously, McNeil stood it up, but it's a great header to generate that pace, because there's no pace on that ball. He's generated all
I think it was James Garner who puts the switch back in, puts it back in. And again, it's that thing of like recycling the ball. Even if they win the ball, we've got a play in a good area. And again, it's a good header. And it's at the right time as well, 13 minutes in it. Because it's funny, we were Jack on before, it's funny the crowd sometimes can be, in cup games, it's a different crowd, different atmosphere at times. A lot of young people, kids going, who've never been before, first game for loads of people, there's a lot of excitement generated. There's not maybe the R-asses getting upset, like me, getting upset at every little thing. It's a lot more patient. But you also, on the flip side of that, if there is a lot of people who've never gone the match before, they have an idea of what it's going to be in their head. Yeah. So if you can score quite quickly, it's like, oh, is it like this all the time? And it keeps them interested and keeps and we scored at the right time, because I think it just took the wind out of their sails, certainly their fans. They went very quiet after that. And it just gives you that little bit of breathing room. And I thought personally at 1-0 last night, it wouldn't have surprised me if the game had finished at 1-0. They looked so happy to just pass it round and then give it back to us. Like almost like, look, boss, we've completed 10 passes. Didn't get anywhere.
It felt Everton under Martinez. It felt very they've got no plan of what they would do, or it didn't look like they had a plan of what they were trying to do. You can't have a plan if you haven't got a centre forward.
Yeah. But they had a situation in the second half, I think, where they played a little triangle between the three of them, and then they were like,
where do we go now?
So they played it longer, and I think back towards their own goal, and nearly put themselves in trouble. I think McNeil nearly nicked it, and it is situations like that where they were almost having the ball just for the sake of having it.
Yeah, I think they ended up with 60-odd% possession. We've hit the sweet spot again, around the 37% mark. And again, that's fine. I'm happy with that all day. And the irony was, there was about 10-15 minutes where he started to come into it, wasn't it? And it was simply because they started playing counter-attacking football, getting it out to their right wing quicker, trying to pull us, or almost pull us into... they were trying to break through the press, and I think they did a couple of times, but they went wide to the right, and they had a lot of pace there, and they made a couple of nervy moments, one where James Garner's had to come back and clear one out. Well. But that just shows you that what they're trying to do and maybe what can work for them are two different things. And sometimes you just think, why are you doing all this stuff? I mean, playing to our hands, we were like that. It was nice to see us play like a team that were like, we're quite calm here. Because we know, I think we know as a fan base and we know as a team, we're quite happy with other teams having a lot of the ball.
We don't want to have the ball, do we? We've seen that happen already this season. When we've got the ball, we look, and that's probably the next stage where this team needs to develop and evolve into, is we look devoid of ideas of how to break teams down. We are a counter-attacking side, and you know, from Burnley's perspective, you know, the manager for them has got that massively wrong, because I suppose, I don't know, moving away from your philosophy or whatever, but if I was them, you know, like say, you would almost sit in, let Everton have the ball, let the crowd get a little bit restless, use your pace out wide and get at them. But thank God they didn't. They literally played into our hands perfectly, and counter-attacking football is how we'll score goals. You know, I think once we've got the ball and we do, that's where we are lacking, that little bit of creativity maybe. But
I think the difference is where they've got no creativity, or they didn't have any creativity, and they keep on trying to hit you over the head with it. We don't do that. I think we go, well, we're prepared to go long then. We're prepared to, I mean, there's a lot, Pickford had a lot of the ball, saying in that first half last night, a lot going back to him. We were trying to get out, and they were putting the press right up, and sometimes it went into a nana. But if we just go back to them and just go long to Dom, because I don't think we are naive to go, oh, we'll just keep doing this and keep doing it and keep doing it, like we did under Lampard, or like you seen there doing, or what you like we saw against Bournemouth, how they played against us. We have got that realisation, I think, that we're, all in, we think we've all bought into this fan base and team and everything. We'll just go long. And people can go, oh, you use a long ball team. I couldn't care less. If we're not getting, I don't want to see any of our players get caught with the ball on the edge of the box. If you can't break through the lines, then don't. Just go long. I think that's where some of these teams like Burnley and Bournemouth, and maybe they just don't have the personnel to go long, but it's like, the sake of passing, you're going to get caught. And if you do get caught, there's so much quality out there now that it's going to hurt you.
The irony is they don't have the personnel to play short, though, do they? Like, the centre-backs look terrified. Yeah. You know, like, and when you watch some of these teams, and they're forced to play in a way, and the centre-backs and the whoever's playing the sixth role, they just don't look comfortable in possession. So it's strange, but like I say, I'd rather just focus on what we're doing and we're doing. We've got some sort of set game plan now, haven't we? We've got a level of consistency to what we're trying to achieve. You know, I think we've had it under Lampard, certainly, and under Dyche, I would say, last season. We couldn't really say what we were trying to do. I don't think anyone could say, you know, what are we? What is Everton? But it feels like we're starting to understand what a Sean Dyche Everton's going to look like moving forward, and it's got the elements for me personally anyway that I like to see in an Everton. You know, aggressive in terms of how you can be aggressive in modern day football, energetic, work rate, and playing to your strengths. You know, I don't like personally. I don't like sitting there watching ball pass round the back. I like to see passing. I like to see passing like through the lines. But if it's not on, I don't mind hitting the corner and getting someone chasing after it. No problem at all.
No, you can never do it just for the sake of doing it, can you? And I think that's why it's such a big topic of conversation after this game, because Burnley are a side that are trying to force it. We've had managers who've tried to force it and it's not worked, and now we're a lot more realistic. But what we can see is our pathway to victory, our pathway to goals. We know we're going to be good on the counter-attack. We know we've got set pieces as well. And yeah, we could be a little bit better on the ball. It'd be nice to know we could break a team down if we had to. But we're not trying to force it when we know it's not our most successful pathway to victory. It's not the best cards in our deck.
I don't think we don't really have the personnel, do we? Either. We don't have a playmaker. We don't have someone. People might think that's what James Garner is. I don't think he is that. I think he's an effective centre midfielder who's good on the ball, but he's not a play because he's never high enough up the pitch to open teams up. So it's something obviously.
That's where you'd want to see that Dan Juma doing that.
I don't think he's got it either.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
I think it's a very particular skill set, and it's, let's be honest, it's to open up teams. You have to be a very good footballer. There's only James Maddison's one of very few doing it in the Premier League, and obviously we had James Rodriguez and Gylfi Sigurdsson at the same time, just doing it for us.
Yeah.
And you need almost a lot of energy around them, and we saw that with both of those players. But it's a very particular skill set that we don't have, so there's no point.
Yeah,
there's no point. We've got a position for it where the core is, but again, it's like I just don't think we've got that, so there's no point trying to do it. I'm quite happy with the hybrid, I think, because I think we do try and play football in certain areas of the pitch, but as I said, if it's not working, I don't think we labour on it. I think we just go, right, we know what we're good at. We're good at getting the knockdowns off Dom. We're good at going wide to obviously our 2 wide men and going through those places. And I think I think fans would rather know what your plan is, even if that plan doesn't seem like amazing or Man City stat, whatever it is. You just want to know what your plan is, and then you can. Then I think there's a calmness then of when you're doing something or when you're watching it, you can see the plan unfolding. And I think that because far too many, even especially this season, gone the match and gone, what are we trying to do? What are we trying? And the manager comes out and says, this is what we're trying to do, and you're like, I didn't see that. And because we've had 2 years of hell in many ways, haven't we?
Yeah.
We have had 2 years of
absolutely.
hell, and that's just not on the pitch. That's not just us being, we expect this. It's on and off the pitch we've had. Whereas I do think in the last 2 or 3 games, and then thinking back to the other games, you go, yeah, you can see it. Like a magic eye. Magic. We're all starting to see it now, what Dyche has been saying. I know some other people have got more faith or more patience or loved them at Burnley. I don't know. But he was starting to see it now, and obviously we got in 0-0. I think that petered out for them, didn't it? Quite quickly. Their what they were trying to do. But we came out second half and we just continued doing what we were doing. And again, it was another set piece. This time straight from a corner to the back post, knocked down, and Onana is there to just get the final touch on it. It was nice to see him get a goal because he's been playing really well recently. Looks really settled in his role as well. Not doing anything stupid, just doing what he needs to do. And it was nice to see us just score like a goal like this, where it's a knockdown, we react quicker.
Yeah, we got Johnny on the spot to put it in. Yeah. I think it's interesting, isn't it? Well, not interesting, but it's pretty obvious. But it's getting to that stage where you can do it from Dyche's perspective. But it's obvious people are just playing in the position. You know, like Onana's now looking a better player. He's playing when he should play. Michaelenko's looking better, but he's not getting asked to go over the halfway line. You know, like he's come up with a way of using him to the best of his ability. Yeah. James Garner's now playing in centre midfield. He's not a right winger. You know, and it's a case of, you know, those players are now getting settled. They're making partnerships as well, and I think that's massive. You know, in certainly in the lower half of the Premier League, if you can get those partnerships going, you can suddenly move up the table pretty comfortably because, you know, the quality level down there, people can't just chop and change players and have that. So if we can get that level of consistency with people playing in positions and understanding the roles, and you can just see that coming game by game. And obviously having a almost fully fit Dom, I mean, Dyche is still saying there's still more to come from him. It's just massive, and it just shows you obviously the last couple of years what we've lacked. Yeah, we're not having him because I think he's been the last 6 weeks. I think he's been absolutely awesome, and I think it's not even just from a goals perspective, his all-round play. He actually looks like he's improved, I would say, from the Calvert-Lewin who got the goals. I know what you mean. He now looks a better footballer, all-round better player. Yeah. Holds the ball up a lot better, runs the channels miles better than he did. And yeah, he's he's the focal point, isn't he? So it's all, you can see it all just starting to come together bit by bit. And it was never going to be dramatically quick because, like you say, you haven't got the players. But what's also good looking at it is it's a young squad, isn't it? And it's a young starting 11 in comparison to a lot of teams. So there's a lot of positive, you know, like there's obviously we know where we're at and we know there's certain areas, you know, we get an injury to a centre back, but there's a little bit of concern there. You know, he seems to have a little bit of a blind spot, does he, for Young? You know, the Young coming back, and I was surprised at that, I'll be honest. I thought Patterson would have kept his place at his age. I thought he could have done 3 games in a week. But it just feels like it's going in the right direction.
I think you advance things a lot more sometimes by keeping it simple, don't you? Because if you play players in roles they understand, don't ask them to do things they don't understand, you don't make as many mistakes. Yeah. And then you're up against less hardships, and, you know, the ability's always been there, but so many games passed him by last year.
Massively, yeah.
He had some really strong performances, and those were also the games where he was playing a lot deeper as well, and he reminds me a little bit of Fellaini, not in the sense that they're just both tall Belgian midfielders, but I think when Fellaini came to Everton, there was a bit of a misunderstanding of his role as well. Yeah. Now, it went the other way. He was getting played deeper, and we found out he was better off at the other end. I think with Onana, we've sort of looked at him and thought, oh, he's tall and, you know, he's decent on the ball, so he can be a bit like that and he can maybe push a bit higher up the pitch. He's a defensive midfielder and he's really good at it, and I think he deserved a goal last night. I don't even think last night was the best game he's had in recent weeks.
It was very easy for him last night, if I'm honest. Let's just have a look at his numbers from last night. Anytime? No, I mean, that's a completely different player. A completely different player. Thanks, Ned. One goal, pass accuracy, 91%, 2 tackles, 1 key pass, and his duels. What's his duels, Ned?
5 out of 6.
5 out of 6. Sorry, there's a big thing over the thing. 5. I just thought it was dead easy for him last night, if I'm honest. I just thought he played in that role so seamlessly that he didn't really have to get out of second gear a lot of the time. And that's another really good thing to see, is that he understands that role so easily that in a game like this, I'm not saying that's going to be like that every game, but in a game like this, he didn't have to really break sweat.
No, he's had games where he's had to do more, hasn't he? You know, West Ham the other day was a big example of that, and he really commanded that midfield. I think at times, especially in the first half, the midfield bypassed, the game bypassed our midfield at times. They weren't necessary to a degree, but every time Onana was called upon, he did his job right, and I think the same goes with James Garner as well. And those two are developing a good little relationship on the pitch, and I'm a big fan of Idrissa Gana Gueye, and you know, maybe it's a shame if his Everton career is coming to an end, but we do have a very functional midfield partnership at the moment, and like you say, 2 young lads as well. Who can either be here for years and keep building that partnership, or, you know, if they do leave, there's good money to be made.
Well, the good thing is that, like, with the Gay situation, is obviously, you know, with the age he's coming to, you do need to have that progression away from him.
He's had a contract in the year.
But he come on, and, you know, he had a good impact when he came onto the game, you know, and you know, as complimentary as we are about the starting 11 we've got right now, the reality is that ain't going to stay fit all season, or, you know, not get suspended. So these other players will still be involved and will be useful, and just Gana Gueye, there'll be games where he'll be vital to them and stuff, but you've got to have them partnerships, I think, certainly with a smaller squad. And I just think it's that midfield looks a lot more balanced.
I think the spine of the team looks a lot better. I think it's a spine that's now played, you know, the majority of the game since things sort of started to turn in many ways for us. You know, you've got, say, Jordan Pickford, you've got the 2 centre backs, you've got Onana, Garner and James Garner in there with them now, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. And I think that's a real consistent spine. You know, and in terms of you want that to go forward. And you're right, if Idrissa Gana Gueye does come in for some games, you know, he's not really going to let you down. I don't think he was doing bad before he went out the team. It's just James Garner's just got a different skill set, and there has to be a crossover. And going back to what you said before about Ashley Young, maybe that's what the manager's thinking with Ashley Young. Maybe he thinks there's going to be a crossover with Nathan Patterson, and that just hasn't happened yet. I think we'd all rather have Nathan Patterson in the side, because we think that there isn't necessarily a drop off with Nathan Patterson. It's just the manager just trusts, he wants that experience in a young a younger side.
I think it's the issue with the young one from an Everton fan's perspective is probably similar to the Michael Keane one, isn't it? Where there seems to be a little bit of a blind spot where we understand the experience, but he's not using that to his advantage in the games. He's making rash decisions. Not talking about last night, by the way, just in general. He's making rash decisions, you know, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, would Patterson do any worse? And the reality is no. But then he's obviously got the higher ceiling to progress. So that's probably where we're at. But tactically, look, let's just see. The manager's going to have options. He's going to dip them in and out. And like you say, soon have Seamus back in the equation as well.
Yeah.
So.
And when we get to January, before we get to January, so when we get to December, and that's after the international break, it's just going to be non-stop. And obviously now we're into the next round. There's another game in there. I think it's in between 2 big away games in December. So there's plenty of games.
And use them higher up the pitch as well, can't you? Which he obviously showed when the subs.
We just want that consistency. We've been so much chopping and changing. You've got, like you said before, you've got players now like Michalenko who are finding a level of consistency because the guy in front of him staying the same, and the guy to the right of him staying the same. That's hugely important.
Yeah.
You know, that's massively important in football. Knowing who the guy in front of you is, knowing you can trust the two centre-backs have got a partnership there. They can trust each other. They've got a guy in front of them in Onana who they trust with it. It's all those little partnerships all over the pitch are coming together now, and I think that's how you find consistency, by having a consistent team that works in a way that helps each other. And it's the same, you know, the wide plays with Harrison on the right and McNeil on the left. They're not the most, you know, they'll do a job for you. I thought Harrison last night, from his final balls, weren't great, or couldn't even get the ball in at times.
Yeah.
But you can understand what he's trying to do at least, and think like, well, if one of those comes off, he's probably going to put it in a really good area. Or the manager's mentioned today in the press conference, he's not fully fit yet. So again, that's another thing of it. Like when he gets up to that full fitness, you're going to get maybe a slight difference to his level. And so, yeah, there's still a little bit more to come. And again, we're not sitting here saying, oh, we're going to be challenging for Europe or anything like that. But we probably
will be when we win the cup.
Yeah, once we're in the cup, we will. No, but I think for us, it's a big step, isn't it? Because of
Massively.
for every, you know, we want to get away certainly from people going, oh, Everton are 5 points above the drop zone, and 2, Everton are 5 points away from being European contenders. That gap isn't that big, by the way, in terms of that either. You know, that is a mindset rather than anything else. That's simply a mindset from us and the outside world to start looking, but that means winning.
You beat Brighton at the weekend, you're 4 points behind them.
Well, that's it. If we beat Brighton at the weekend, then people might start looking at it like that, but then you've got to win those games before that happens, before they will start talking about it like that.
Yeah, especially at this point of the season as well, because obviously it's more congested and you can climb the positions higher, and then, you know, you can make your own narrative then, and that's amazing for the players. And football's a massive confidence sport, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You get those players confident, have them think, hold on, like, we could finish top half this year. Like, we're there now. We can just maintain what we're doing, and you might get there, you might not, but, you know, at least challenging for that. You're doing better than challenging for staying in the league, aren't you? You're already operating in a higher bracket.
Yeah. It just looks like there's more togetherness with the team as well. I don't know if you've noticed.
They look like they know what they're trying to do.
But
and
I know
important.
it's corny, but they do look like they believe in it, don't they?
Best friends forever.
Yeah.
BFFs. But no,
look, they believe in it because it's working.
Yeah, that's it. The results are coming on the pitch. But I think you know, it's strange, isn't it? Because we've gone through, like you say, best part of 2 years of pretty much every one of these videos. It's just like, you know, Jesus, dissecting mayhem after mayhem, and it seems really serene to sort of just have these comfortable wins,
isn't it?
Clean sheets, looking solid defensively, a way of playing, and it's strange how quickly that narrative can change. And look, it's on the players to keep that going. But right now, I think everyone's behind it, and
no, it is.
If you don't believe in something, or you've got nothing to get behind, then what's the point?
And if more players are pulling into that direction as well, that leaves very few on the outside who are questioning it, whether they're not playing or whatever. It's up to, if everyone's like, well, that's on you, mate. We're all over here and we all believe in it. Yeah. If you don't, that's on you, and you're going to be the one who's not playing or who's on the outside. And maybe
it was like the Dobbin, bringing the Dobbin sub. He's brought him on, hasn't he, to just make sure he's involved.
Well, I was just going to come on to the subs. Obviously, we scored in the 53rd minute. There was another 15 minutes, obviously, just to see how they responded. And then we started making changes. And obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin went off. Beto came on. Danjuma went off. The Corey came on. But Beto couldn't have tried any harder to influence this game, because you could tell he was desperate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, by trying so hard, the ball just kept on bouncing off his knees.
And that's why he needs that goal so badly, to just settle down and to not have to try as hard and, you know, keep the work rate. But it's the mentality of, I need to score.
Yeah.
That shot he had, that he blazed man's wide, he never should have took that.
No, yeah.
Desperate for the
goal.
goal.
He had someone on the right, didn't he?
Yeah.
Harrison, was it?
And I think once he gets that goal, I think he will settle down a little bit. We know there's some quality there. He's shown it with the assist for the third, but he just needs to get that little bit of self-assuredness, just to say, look, I don't need to force this, it'll come because I'm good enough to play.
He's raw,
isn't
he? But he's, like you say, he's got that absolute desire to do well, which is great. but it's tempering and that to being able to perform.
I think he's a lot rawer than I thought he was, to be honest. I think when he came in and played the first game, come on at half time, played against Doncaster, and then how he played against Sheffield United, I thought he was not a sure. I'm trying to pick my words, right? But he's got to settle down a little bit when he gets an opportunity, because I think he is trying too hard to force things. I don't think that ever works. You're right. If he plays that ball to, I think was it Jack Harrison?
I think it was Harrison. Yeah.
If he plays that ball to Jack Harrison and Jack Harrison either shoots and scores or gives him it back, then he looks brilliant. Because the third goal, he gets it, he beats the fullback, gets his head up and puts a great ball in, and we score. I know everyone runs over to him like, you deserve that. Like you deserve that for maybe how you're training or what you've done just in this game. But everyone, the fans, no one's singing Ashley Young, are they? Why would you? But everyone's singing for Beto, because everyone wants Beto to do well.
Yeah.
You know, everyone wants him to do well. And I think that's where he needs to just like calm down a little bit, because, and I think this is why he didn't come on Saturday, or Sunday, sorry, is that because the manager might be looking at him going, you're going to come on and everything I've just told you is just going to be forgotten about. You're just going to come on and try and grab that ball and do something to finish this game off, where I need a cool head to go up front and just stretch them and not do...
Tactically do what it's asked.
And that's why he brought Chimiti on. Chimiti played and pushed them back like Domad, whereas you could see Beto wants to grab hold of the ball and he wants to turn, he wants to start running. That's fine, but in the Premier League, you lose that ball in the middle of the park and everyone's set up going that way, you can quickly find yourself on the back foot.
Yeah.
And I think that's where tactically he just needs to calm down a little bit. You're right, he's got the ability if you can grab hold of the ball. It's just that it will come for you, mate. You'll get more chance of opportunity playing for Sean Dyche if you're a little bit more calmer and you're a little bit more tactically switched on to what he wants.
I hope the moment where he obviously gets the assist and the players come over and they go round him and they all say well played, I hope that is that almost watershed moment for him where he gets that bit of self-assuredness, and then that is enough for him to slowly start calming down, because you've got to remember with Beto as well, he's only been coached at a high level for a couple of years. He's what, 25, 26, but only a couple of years ago he's playing in the lower Portuguese divisions. The levels in coaching and what he was getting there.
Yeah, fishing rats out of an air fryer.
It just won't be the same to what he's had the last couple of years. So he is almost playing catch up, and for all of his career he's going to be a little bit behind, you know, technically and just in terms of how he sees the game, and that he's always going to be a little bit uncoached because he's had far less time of it than other players.
Which he's got a balance of how that he can use that to his advantage, because that rawness and that unpredictability can be a massive strength as well to have as a player, and it's how he harnesses that, and I'm sure he will. Again, people criticise Dyche over the time he's been at Everton so far, but I do feel like he is coaching some players and improving some players as well. I think Michael Enko.
I'll be honest, until recently, I didn't think that. I looked at a lot of our players and thought they didn't look like they've improved, but for some reason in the last like 3 weeks, you're right, it has sort of just all come together. And I'm not being dramatic when I say that, by the way. I'm not going, everything's amazing, look how good we are. What I mean is, in the last few weeks, I just feel like the plan that Dyche had has all come together just by little couple of things.
It's a little piece me in here.
Onana dropping into the 6th role, Branthwaite, like sort of everyone going, he is actually good, this lad, isn't he? It's not just a thing that he's coming to the team. Harrison adding not only width but the ability to work backwards, and obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting that sharpness. And you're right, what you said before, last night he just looked like, even though he didn't score, it was like I could just, like, even the goal that got disallowed, like it was like he bullies him and then he finished it superbly. There was a level there where you're just like, he just looks.
The one where he tried to slip the ball through to Dan Juma and it just caught the defender.
Yeah, there's like little things like that where you're just like, in the last few weeks it has all come together, and players do look like they're confident, they do look like they believe it. And the third goal, obviously, it's good individual, and fair play to Ashley Young. He moves to right midfield when Nathan Patterson comes on. Obviously, Garner come on with 10 minutes to go as well. giving Onana a nice blow and a nice clap and all that kind of thing. But it's great to see
more goals.
Someone who's older than me get a goal at the Gladys Street. Someone get it. Well, that's good. That's great. Whether people want to win the side or not, that's brilliant. It's brilliant that he's got the hunger to want to get up there in the last minute and get that goal.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, he had a chance earlier on as well, didn't he? And the keeper made a decent save.
Yeah. Could have put it a bit more in the corner. But...
Yeah, he probably didn't take it the best, but got into those areas, hasn't he? I think, again, we all look at Ashley Young and think from a squad perspective, he's a good player to have around the squad, and he'll be useful over the course of the season, no doubt. I think, like I say, it's just that lack of, the wanting of getting Patterson in the team's probably just where we're all looking at him a little bit differently. But overall, I think he's got the option to be able to play right back, left back. He can play on the wing for you, so he's going to add into the squad. But from the desire and the team ethic of everyone, I don't know. It seems like it's gone up a level.
What I liked about last night was they were crap, and we knew they were crap.
Yeah,
and we went after them at the right moments. We didn't go after them all the way, just being bang bang. It was there was a calmness and a patience that we were a better side.
Game plan. And
it was gonna in the end it was gonna be very, very comfortable. And when they were the moments in the first half, 10 minutes, everyone will always have 10 minutes against you, no matter what level. No matter what level, they'll always. It's what happens in those 10 minutes. And far too many times, this Everton team, just recently, it's my entire life. In those 10 minutes, something stupid happens. And it's important that in those 10 minutes, you don't let anything stupid happen by being just settling everyone down. And that's what it's nice to see. I'm not going overboard. Last night when we won, I was good, we've won 3-0. Happy days. It's another home win, back-to-back 3-0 home wins. That's really important as well. But it's just having that little bit of calmness and professionalism to win a game and go, brilliant. We've done that one, tick, on to the next one now. And again, that's all Dyche wants, I think. That's all he wants.
But it wasn't that long ago, was it, that looking for a win just found... You couldn't see us getting one, could you?
No.
So to go from there to here feels like, wow, that has happened, like you say, pretty quickly in terms of everything just falling into place. So, look, they've just got to...
The manager won't say that, though, will he? The manager will just say, and I heard him again in the press conference last night, the manager was just this isn't a surprise to me, because this is exactly how we were playing the first two games. We just didn't have a striker to put it in the back of the net. So to him, and he is absolutely right, he's got to have that level. We are fans, we are up and down, because it's our emotional state as well as everything else. But he's not allowed to have that emotional state. So he'll look at it and go, no. Yeah. And in fact, I think I heard him before on the press conference, today's press conference, say, we're actually making less chances now and scoring more goals, because we've become efficient at what we're doing, that we're not looking for this ball or that ball.
Forcing it. Yeah.
So it's interesting.
And that to me is why a lot of things have improved. Like you say, Onana's doing better, Mykolenko's doing better, and such Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the biggest difference in all this for me. And he's found that perfect balance between sort of the two stages of his Everton career. When he came into the team, he'd run his socks off, but he weren't a goal scorer, and he'd press and he'd run the channels, not always very efficiently. Sometimes he'd overdo it and go missing a bit, but that was his game. Yeah. And then he became a penalty box striker, didn't he? And he wouldn't move from that area, from within the width of the box. And he's managed to combine both of that now, and he's running, he's pressing. I think he gave their centre-backs a horrible time last night. But then he's got the goal-scoring form as well. He's such a cool finisher.
He's so
relaxed, and I think he comfortably gets over 10 goals in the league if he stays fit.
He looks like he's really enjoying playing football. It's like...
We hasn't played for 2 years.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like the pressure of actually having to score goals is now gone. It's like, if I play well, I will influence this team. And he's really enjoying it. He's really enjoying the hard work. Because you imagine, you think about all the hard work he's had to put in just to come back. Now he gets to put it into a game of football, and he looks like he's really, really enjoying it. And
he's got the bonus of Dyche has managed that situation very well, haven't
he has.
For all our frustrations with it at stages, he's managed it perfectly from the player's perspective. But also now having Beto and Chimity there, that pressure for him to be on the pitch and perform is obviously not as high. So that's just going to just free Calvert-Lewin up that little bit extra as well. And, you know, he knows he can go to the manager if he's not quite feeling it, or if he needs a day off. I'm presuming he's got that type of relationship with the manager now where he trusts him. And he'll just go from strength to strength if we can keep him.
You just hope that whatever the issue was, they found the issue and they've sorted it. You're still obviously we're all going to be a little bit like, well, let's wait and see. But he does look, number one, I don't think he looks, we talked about this the other day, he doesn't look as big, as muscular.
No, I totally agree.
He looks the right shape. And hopefully they've sorted it, because it did feel like it was something, because he was getting loads of different injuries. But it did feel like there was something behind it. So hopefully they found that something, like what can happen to footballers, that he's now free and he mentally knows he's free to get on with it, and he
doesn't look timid, does he? He doesn't
look like afraid that if he does something, like he sprints or he does something.
Trusts himself body now, doesn't he? That's what it looks like.
So that hopefully that means he knows what it is, and it's not going to come back. I mean, I remember when Dunk was getting loads of injuries and Mick Rathbone sent him over to Holland to see a specialist about his back, and they basically sorted it out with one operation because they've got to the bottom of it. I don't know whether they have or not, but it's great to see. Another player who's in good form, obviously the first goal scorer last night was James Tarkowski. Let's have a little look at his numbers. So goals, 1 clearance, 3 interceptions, 3 key passes, 1. And is that 4 out of 5 duels, 1? And again, last night, I give him man of the match because the goal, but just because he's got such a calmer influence on the team, looking after Branthwaite, he's really took the role of being captain. I think it's took him to another level in terms of, like, he feels like Everton are his club now. He's got a manager who obviously believes him as well, and it feels like he's really got, you know, we love our captain, especially when the centre backs at Everton. It's a long, like, you know, we thought, like, Michael Keane's like Anakin, isn't he? We thought he was the chosen one, but he just cut his legs off in a lava pit instead. But we thought he was going to be the next one, but the irony is it took a few more years and it took another Burnley centre-back to come in.
His replacements at Burnley, didn't
it? Yeah.
But, no, he's a stand-up
Maybe
setter.
that's what we did. We bought him to allow.
Didn't knock on
this, honestly, Da Vinci Code stuff, this. We were playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
We took him to allow James Tarkowski to come in and take him for free. Like that.
But he is a standard setter.
I voted it out.
He sets the standard just for his hard work and his commitment, never shakes a challenge, goes up for everyone. And, you know, he's a leader as well. And he's just a good, honest, consistent centre-back. And I think we've lacked that for a while.
Consistent's the word, I think, because that's what we've lacked in our whole defensive line for the last few years, is that level of consistency, and that's coming now. You've got, you know, they're going to have bad games, obviously, of course they will do, but in general, he's got a real set level of consistency when you don't need to worry about him, do you? Yeah. He's just there.
He looks like he enjoys it as well.
Yeah.
He looks like he really enjoys the battle. You know, we've had defenders in there who look, honestly, they look like kids screaming for their mums in a playground in Leeds. Yeah. You know, they've got that look up on their face, you know what I mean? Like, where's my mum? But he looks like he really enjoys the battle, and looks like I'm going to lay one on someone here. And he
looks like he enjoys being at Everton as well, doesn't he? Because from his career pathway, Everton's obviously the biggest club he's been at. And for him, he wants to make it work.
And it's all come together because Branthwaite's coming and he's playing on the left. And it's all those things as well, playing his preferred position. Last season when he came in and suddenly he's playing in a 3 and he's playing on the left-hand side and he's like, what? And then when Connor Cody come in, it settled down because there was the 2 of them. But it still always felt like, I don't know, like, sometimes you'd always need, I've talked about this for years, with centre-backs, you always need an alpha. You always need the one who knows he's the leader. And even with Connor Cody, I thought there was times where he was a bit like, is he the leader or am I the leader? Yeah. Whereas now it's like, no, I am the leader and I've got this kid next to me who's the business and I'm going to help this kid, you know, and that's, so he's it's going good for him as well. So that's another little thing, and he could end up being, you know, one of those ones that we all, again, we've got him when he's like, what, 30, so, but he doesn't look, he has got that consistency, so hopefully there's a few more years of him.
He's nothing for a centre back nowadays, is it?
He's got a good few years left, and I think that they thought this when we first signed him, but I think is one we'll look at as that was a good piece of business. That didn't pay a transfer fee, right type of character as well, good consistent level of player. Even if we improve as a club, improve our standing, he's still good enough to get into this team. Agree. So he's not one that I'd need replacing. I think it's one of the smartest pieces of business we've done in a long time.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at that. The match stats: 14 shots to 3, 5 on target, only 1 from them. Was the one where it like literally floated into Pickford's arms?
No, the one was Patterson got caught the wrong side, didn't he? And right at the end, then he smashed it straight to Pickford. Pickford saved it.
I don't even think that was on target. 4 big chances to 0, 38% possession to 62. And have you just put that on the screen?
He took it off.
Oh, you just leave it on to stop talking, Ned. Come on. I'm still talking there, put it back on, thank you. 38% possession to 62. 37 is our sweet spot, but I always think you can have 2 either side. So
have an extra percent in a couple.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's a little extra percent. So no, but good performance, good win into next round, as we said. We're playing Fulham in the next round, Christmas week. So listen, no point talking about that because that's in 6 weeks' time, and as saying,
lot can change.
Well, when we got Doncaster and then we got Villa, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, we've just been battered by Villa," and then things can change dramatically within that time. Who knows where they'll be? Who knows, which of the places in the top 6 we've got by then? But the only thing I was annoyed about was I realised that Iwobi wasn't cup tied. I was thinking, not that I'm worried. I was just thinking, I hope you're cup tied.
No, I don't think he just plays.
No, he's probably got a gig that night anyway. He's the secret rapper, hasn't he? So
him and Onana got off it after.
No, that singing Diamond Lights. They could do a rework on a Diamond Lights, couldn't they? Them too. Fair play to you. Whatever you want to do, I'm not that arsed. There you go. We're going to continue over on Toffee TV Premier. We're currently live. Right now we're live. So
real?
Yes. Jack
it's
is
live, pal.
Hologram.
Big one.
I don't think it really matters. It's just light.
Light.
There you go. Right, we are continuing on Toffee TV Premier. Make sure you check that out if you want daily live videos. It's really good. It's how we met Mike. So it's not that good. But Mike is a Toffee TV Premier member. So, check that out. The link's coming up in the description. The QR code's coming up if you're a Toffee TV Premier member. But give us some questions. So, thanks for watching. See you later.